You can become a much more powerful developer with these tools, Git and GitHub. And these tools allow you to work with developers around the world. The tool Git allows you to track all the changes in your code, so every update, delete, any sort of modification. And GitHub is where you can store all of that information to showcase to the world. Once you have your code, the very first thing you're going to do is type git init. And that's going to create this .git folder. And that's the brains of this whole operation. It's going to keep track of what files have been added, removed, and changed. It's also going to keep track of all the previous versions of your code, as well as all the branches of your code. Now in GitHub, a branch is just a separate copy of the code. Now, why would you even need a separate copy of the code? Well, you see, this main branch right here, that main code, that's what's going to be pushed to all of your users. In these branches, the copies of your code, that's what other developers are going to be working on. This way, they're able to test all the new features and changes without disrupting this main code and the user's experience. Now, you can have multiple different branches of your code. This way, you can have developers all working on separate copies of the code for different features. So for example, this developer could be working on changing the color of all the different buttons. But this developer could be adding 2 new pages. And once these developers are done with their changes, they're going to do what's called a merge. So they're going to take the copy of their code and they're going to merge it with the main branch so that this main branch reflects those changes. And this is so important. The reason why we have these branches is so developers can work on separate features and changes without disrupting the user's experience. So now that we have the brains of our operation, we have to put our changes into this staging area. And you're going to do this by typing git add and then a period. This period just means everything in my folder I want to put into the staging area. And now that you have your code in the staging area, you have to do what's called a commit. And a commit is just another way of saying saving. So next time you make another change and you commit that code, if you want to go back to the first version of your code, you can do that. And that's because it's saved in the .git history. And so you'll be able to look at the history of your code and see all the different changes in it. And you're going to do this by typing git commit and then this flag -m to let you know that the quotations are a message. And this message is meant to be short but descriptive. This way it lets other developers know the changes that you made. Now this commit only saves it locally. Nothing is on GitHub quite yet. Before you can push it to GitHub, you have to create what's called a repository. And that's where your code is going to live. To create a repository, you're going to go to your profile and find the repositories tab. After that, you're going to find this new button, and this is where you create your repository. The only thing you really need to add is the repository name. And once you've created your name, go ahead and click on this create repository. Once your repository is created, go ahead and copy this link right here because that's important for this next step. In this next step, you're creating a connection from your .git folder to GitHub. To do this, you're going to have to type git remote add and then a nickname. And origin is a pretty standard nickname. And this nickname is going to be for that URL that you just copied. This way, you don't have to keep typing that URL in every single time. And now that you've created that remote connection, you're going to have to push that code to GitHub. And finally, you can push your code to GitHub with a simple command, git push, and then that nickname that you created for your URL, and then whatever branch you want to push to. And so in this case, you're going to use the main branch. So now if you go back to your repository and reload your page, you'll see your code right here. Now, what about updating your code? What if I want to change this name from Alex to Matthew? To do that, go ahead and make the changes to your code and type the command git add dot to put this code into that staging area. After that, you're going to have to save that code locally with that git commit with a descriptive name. And then finally, you're going to have to push that to that origin nickname, to that repository URL, and that main branch. So now you can go back to your code, reload your repository page, and you can see that change. So now you know how to push code to GitHub, but how do you get code back from GitHub? Well, it's very simple. Go to the main page on that repository, find this code button, and copy this URL. Now go into your terminal and type git clone and then paste that URL that you just copied. After completing that, you should see these messages. And now you can change your directory into that new folder. You can open up that code and see the code that you just pulled from GitHub. And knowing how to push to GitHub and to pull code from GitHub is so important in collaborating with other developers. So now that you understand how to push code to GitHub and pull it from GitHub, start showcasing those great projects.